Alright, so, finishing the prologue in the first chapter of Tom O'Neill's Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the Sixties, which begins the book with his recounting of meeting and interviewing the case prosecutor and author of Helter Skelter, Vincent Bugliosi, automatically painting the man as an unpleasant character to interact with from the brief interaction, which lasted for hours, apparently. The latter chapter then springs into explanation how O'Neill himself was brought into investment in the case, which had occurred when he had just entered into the double digits as a child. Going from there into detailing the nightly events of August 8th and 9th of 1969, Hollywood, California, and the following 9-month trial which preceded them, once it officially broke into realization on December 1st of that year. Telling the usual tale and wrapping it up with the cliffhanger on the question of how this 35-year-old lifelong criminal controlled this group over a decade his junior. And sure, he was a pimp wrapped up in that criminality, but even in that, it would seem difficult for pimps to convince one of their whores to go out and emotionlessly conduct a culling. And how the drug LSD may have played a major role in the Tate LaBianca slaughters, with trace mentions of government brainwashing, though none directly in reference to the MKUltra program yet, however laying the groundwork subtly for such a claim. And to that, I'm rather curious regarding the overview given, which doesn't quite differ from any other standard recollection of the crimes as they were committed. However, given the often unreliability or debatability of witness testimony in of itself, how truly the accounts of the case can be taken so seriously. Sure, there's a consistency with the lore given by perpetrators as much as they could have rehearsed it prior, just in case, mind you, as Manson himself was a criminal and likely would have known that the necessity of a straight story. And wonder if these women, plus Tex Watson, were so out of their own minds from substances and hypnotic mind control and coercion, how can it be truly stated of what happened in such detail? As another example, even in his historical fiction rendition of the murders, Quentin Tarantino's movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood echoes verbatim what is said to have been said. I guess with the given testimony and matching it up with the respective crime scenes, it lines up, however, as much in being so supposedly dead in emotion and dissociated, with some exception too, given Susan Atkins likening the murderous act to that of an orgasm, which is an extreme form of emotional release. Similar to some cops telling of having the best sexual intercourse of their life after killing someone on the job. How can such be seen as reliable? In a cold, mechanical, brainwashed fugue, I can see more of a point in solid memory, but with that, in heightened states of emotion, like Atkins' orgasmic thrill, the mind can misinterpret or misremember what it's perceiving as much as it can enshrine the memory, as seen in cases of trauma like detailed in Bessel van der Kolk's seminal book, The Body Keeps the Score. Memory is a funny thing, essentially, and I'm curious how much it can truly be relied upon, especially in cases like these where it's already a convoluted tale. That's my thoughts on the first chapter of Helter Skelter by Tom O'Neill. It's a pretty alright read so far. I can't really knock it, but, I obviously have my questions and queries. Yeah.